2 weeks off for SMX means more action than ever. Packed into SMX Insider, Motocross Nation, stats you weren't aware of. We talked today in May about Team USA and Raycin Kyler, who has broken through in the sport of motocross. So much to talk about. Your Ironman preview next. Yeah, we're back. SMX Insider stretch run of Pro Motocross and the SMX World Championship upcoming. We are the Jasons, Weigandt and Thomas. 3 Pro Motocross rounds, 3 playoff and World Championship rounds remain in 2025. JT, seemed like a quiet time without races for a few weekends, but actually, if you're deep in it like we are, the Insiders, it's been anything but that the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think this break that the Pro Motocross Championship has allows these other big events to happen. You know, most notably, Loretta Lynn's Amateur National Championship. There's a tradition in Tennessee every year. There's other series going on around the world in XGP that I was able to visit in the time off. So yes, I think it's a little bit of a misnomer, quiet, but if you look around, there's a whole heck of a lot of racing going on in the meantime.
Yeah, and that's going to serve as a preview of this show. It's actually jam-packed with news and stuff you might have missed, the last couple of weeks. But just drilling down into what the fans really want to know about, Ironman coming up this weekend, do you think that break could impact some riders?
Well, I do. You know, you look at the riders who gained some momentum leaving Washougal, and I would say notably Joe Shimoda and Chase Sexton. And now, can they build upon that going down for the last 3 Pro Motocross rounds? And championship-wise, they're in very different positions. You look at Joe, he's still thinking he has an outside shot at this thing. But for Chase Sexton, I think he's just trying to gain race wins, trying to gain momentum and confidence and climb the ladder in SuperMotocross World Championship points and really get a shot, because we haven't really seen him in the fight to win this thing since 2023 and then his ill-fated injury in 2024 at the finale. So I think it's momentum, and I think it's on the side of both of those two.
Yep, and it's certainly fun, that second 450 moto we saw at Washougal with Sexton, the Lawrences, and Tomac in there. Maybe we get a couple more of those before motocross is done. Okay, this is going to be fun. Big interview time with Raycin Kyler. You're 11 years old. You're the first female to have beaten all the boys in a class at Loretta's ever. And that came with a whole bunch of attention. Next thing you know, I see you on Fox and Friends on the news on Sunday morning. You made ESPN Sports Center top 10. I'm sure you had a lot of goals for the racing, but did you expect all the other stuff that has happened in the last couple of days? It's probably pretty crazy.
I mean, yeah, so it was really cool that I got to be on top 10 and Fox and Friends. It was really awesome, and hopefully we can do it again.
What's next for you? You know, let's talk about 5 years, 10 years. Are you thinking about, hey, I want to be racing, I want to beat Lala Turner, I want to beat KK Nielsen? Or are you thinking about, hey, I'm going after Hayden Deegan here, he better watch himself?
Yes, I do want to start training for SX Futures. That will be my goal, and I'm really excited, and hopefully I can get that done.
All right, well, I have a little advice for you. If you do beat Deegan the first time, he's going to be really nice to you. And then the second time and the third time, maybe not as nice. So just be ready for that, and just be ready to give him a little bit back.
I mean, yeah, I can be my personality, or I can be Deegan.
Oh!
Yeah.
Oh, she's got it. That's great. Hey, Eric Sorby, I know, is your coach. JT and I go way back with him on the racing side. But he told me he's really only been working with you for about 9 months, and that you didn't even qualify for Loretta's last year. So tell us, like, the run-up. How long have you been riding and racing? And then really, how long have you been taking it this seriously?
We've been training really hard, extremely. I made it to Loretta's 3 times, 1 on P-Dub, and then last year on the 85. My lap times were really good to make it in. I just didn't have the right form and kept falling. So Sorby has trained me a lot better, and I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah, and then what does that mean, just persevering? Because I'm sure you were really disappointed at the time. What is that like to dig yourself back out and make it happen?
Giving up is not an option. Always train yourself as hard as you can and never go for failure.
Okay, so from here on out, like even the next couple of months, do you get to take some time off, or do you have a focus on a bunch of other upcoming races? What are you going to do now?
So yeah, this week I am taking the week off, and then I'm going to start back up next week, and I'm really excited to start riding again. Going to start training on the 85 full time, and then at the big races, just ride the 65 and race the 65 until we are actually fully on 85.
Oh, cool. Hey, did you tell us when we were talking before that you might want to get out to a race and maybe be part of the parade lap, opening ceremonies, that kind of thing?
Yes, I do have one request. That is that I do want to do one lap of opening ceremonies in Las Vegas. That'd be really cool.
Okay, we know some people will try to make it happen. You made some history. I don't know how much that means to. I know it means a lot to you, but I don't know if you know how much it means to everybody else. So great job. There were a lot of girls that also raced that were very proud of you over the weekend. So keep going, keep carrying it forward. Great job.
Thank you.
Okay, 30 board time. As mentioned at the top, lots of things to get into this week, starting with this news that broke about a week ago, which is that Roger DeCoster is stepping down as team manager for Team USA at the Motocross of Nations. Now, that sounds like huge news. Roger was part of 25 different winning Team USAs at Motocross de Nations and Trophy de Nations. That's the most ever. He also won a ton as a racer for Team Belgium, which is where he's from. But we know the role has kind of evolved over the years. Technically, the team manager role, I guess, will be filled by the AMA racing manager, who right now is Mike Pellitier. But it won't be doing what DeCoster did back in the day, JT. We've been in the last couple of these. The riders' own teams have taken a lot of the leadership of the team, as well as some others already.
Yeah, it seems like this would be just a fundamental shift in how this race has come about and how Team USA is formulated. But I think for as long as Roger's been a part of this, it's given time for some infrastructure beneath him to come about. And you think about, we've had Christina Denny on this show talking about these things. You know, Mike Pelletier is going to play an instrumental role. People like Mike Minacci helping to fundraise for this thing. So there's a lot of people behind the scenes that have kind of been getting their ducks in a row to make this transition very easy. So yes, it's a headline, and Roger DeCoster deserves so many accolades for racing and post-racing as a member of Team USA. But I think that it's going to feel seamless. I don't think you're going to see a lot of change as far as how the teams form and their performance on race day. Yeah,
if you were in England last year watching as we were, you literally saw basically the Red Bull KTM team with Aaron Plessinger and the Monster Star Yamaha team with Webb and Tomac going about their normal business, from breaking down footage, working with the riders. And I might add that they work together. By the way, I saw Yamaha guys working with Plessinger. This has already somewhat been in the works, but certainly a visor tip to the most influential person in the history of this sport, Roger DeCoster, and all he's done. And now we're actually joined by the director of AMA Racing, which is Mike Pellitier. We're the insiders. We get the big interviews. Mike, I would love to shake you down and get you to tell us right here and right now who's on Team USA. I know you're going to hold strong and maybe make us wait to the weekend. But before we get to that, you already have broken some news. So Roger DeCoster has stepped down. We've already discussed that on this show. In the press release, it says that the AMA Racing director, which is you right now, will somewhat take over that role. But I think you want to clarify, you did in the press release, you're not filling the role that Roger had exactly.
Yeah, exactly right, Jason. And, you know, it's big news. Team USA news is huge. And Roger decided to retire this year. And we had that conversation at Redbud, actually, before we broke that news to confirm, which we did do. And he's supportive of the direction we're going to go. And to your point, you can't fill Roger DeCoster's shoes. It's impossible, right? So we're taking a new direction. A lot of the federations around the world have a team manager that does the media, helps select the team, works with the team managers of each rider, the riders itself. We're going to move into that kind of format, and then we can get that feedback from each manager, each rider, use some strategy that way, just kind of a different structure than we've used before.
Well, Mike, different direction here, but Weege and I talked earlier about this break. You know, there's 2 weekend break. It's the biggest one we have in Pro Motocross or in Monster Energy Supercross. Now, I went over to Europe, and I kind of thought I'd be the lone American wandering around trying to figure out time zones, but I saw you there. You were there the entire time. So in this new role, were you doing some recon? Were you trying to figure out some strategy about how to attack these non-American teams in October?
A little bit, right? So yeah, we did see each other over there in 2 MXGP rounds, and you know, I do have a close working relationship with the FIM and in front, and I think that's another part of this where those connections go a long way when it comes to this event. They're heavily involved, obviously, and from a Team USA standpoint, we can take stuff from there and work together at this team and this event each year, and just kind of put together the best team we possibly can and use those resources.
You're not going to tell us the names right now, though. There's nothing I can do.
Nothing yet. No anticipation.
All right, I guess one of the big parts of this role is being able to keep a secret. So wait until this weekend, folks. Mike, thanks for fitting us in. You've been busy traveling like JT. See you this weekend for the announcement.
Can't wait. We'll see you guys there.
Okay, let's stay on the Motocross of Nations topic. We believe the team will actually be announced, Team USA, this weekend. And there's a lot of conjecture here because usually, JT, when the race takes place in America, and it will at Ironman, they usually get the pick of the litter on stars. I think a lot of people want to see a Tomac, Sexton, Deegan team or some combination like that. Maybe Justin Cooper, who's ridden really well at this race in the past. But this is usually the easiest decision Team USA gets to make when the race is on home soil.
Yeah, it is just it's an easier equation to put together, but I still think there are wrinkles, because the riders that I think Mike Pellitier has kind of his first round picks, we're going to see some team changes. There's a lot of kind of fine print that has to be worked through to make this all happen. So yes, easiest scenario, but that doesn't mean it's easy. And I think Mike Pellitier has probably had to jump through a lot of hoops to put Team USA together, and however it ends up looking.
Let's not forget this weekend's race is the track, Ironman, where it will be held. So just, you go to a lot of MXGP races and you always go to donations. How does Ironman measure up, hold up compared to what you've seen?
Well, I think the track is going to measure up to any comparison you want to make. And we've seen how successful Redbud was in 2018 and 2022. I think it will be very similar to that, similar type of dirt, similar type of setup. The weather will be the question. When you go into October and you get into any part of the northern part of the USA, will it rain or will it not is a 50-50 scenario. And we won't know right up until the last minute. So I think it's going to be a home run as far as an event. But just this type of year around the globe, the chances of precipitation and fall weather, they just go up. So outside of that, I can't find any reason to think this won't be an all-timer.
Let's get a little more familiar with the track. JT, give us the preview of the Ironman Raceway facility for this weekend.
Well, Ironman is a track that's seen a lot of change, especially lately. We have this new section that was added in as far as a preview for Motocross of Nations. I think last year was a trial run. It'd be interesting to see if they kind of take another step towards that, just adding area for more fans to attend this race. It is going to be pandemonium as far as attendance goes. They needed to open up the opportunities for fans to be along the fence line there. But I think it's a track that's universally liked. The base is really hard, similar to Redbud, but they brought in extra dirt and different types of dirt to add texture to it. It's a lot more ruddy than it would be typically. So I think whether you're from the EU or South America or anywhere around the globe, this is a track that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy, whether it's in July or whether it's in October or whether it's in August.
It's funny. We think of Ironman as one of the newer tracks, but I think it's going past 10 years now of being on the schedule, and a lot of riders like it. It's a good all-arounder and kind of has those Redbud vibes, as you mentioned, since it's in a similar part of the country. Another thing to look at in these final races, 6 motos to go in each class of Pro Motocross, is the potential for someone to clinch the title early. Certainly Jet Lawrence in control in the 450 class. It's pretty intriguing, actually, in the 250 division. I think most of us, maybe even ourselves, have thought this is a foregone Hayden Deegan conclusion, but maybe not quite. Joe Shimoda is still within 1 round in points.
Yeah, that crash at Redbud for Hayden Deegan in qualifying looms large as far as championship scenarios, because it kind of felt like he could do no wrong. We were just counting down the days until he became champion, and I still think that is in place. But now Hayden has to be a little bit more careful. He has to kind of, concentrate on winning, but he cannot afford another huge punitive weekend as far as points go. And Joe's sitting there. It's not a foregone conclusion that it's over. There's this talk about Deegan in the 450, which we'll cover, but Joe's like, hey man, I'm only 40 points down, and if I was 1 rear brake issue away from winning the last 3 overalls in a row. So I think we need to give Joe some credit, but also, Hayden deserves a lot of credit for building up that 40-plus point lead as well.
I don't really know why Deegan would try 1 race in a 450. He's going to go back to the 250 for SMX playoffs and World Championship. But with Bobby Regan, like I said, the guy that gets excited. You never know. You never know what's going to happen. Let's see. That's clinch scenarios. We figured that out. Now let's get a little deeper into the numbers with the 2 experts. Here's Clinton Fowler and James Stewart.
Thanks, Jay. What's up, guys? You know who it is, your boy, JS7, and you know who it is, Mr. Clinton Fowler. We're on the inside line, bringing you a little piece on the insider. Clinton, let's break it down. I think we're going head-to-head this weekend. What do we got?
Yeah, let's talk head-to-head odds. They got Chase Sexton versus Jet Lawrence. Jet Lawrence, no surprise, the favorite, minus 515, paying out nearly $24. Chase Sexton plus 330, paying out $86. They got Eli Tomac versus Hunter Lawrence. Hunter Lawrence, the favorite here at a minus 220, paying out nearly or just over $29. Eli Tomac plus 162, paying out $52. Justin Cooper versus RJ Hampshire. Slight advantage to Justin Cooper, paying out $36 versus RJ Hampshire, $38. And the one that I think is interesting, James, Jorge Prado versus Justin Barcia. They're giving the slight advantage to Justin Barcia. And man, that would pay out $36 for Barcia and $38 for Prado. James, Justin Barcia's still going. He's 10th all-time in points, 9th all-time in starts. The guy just... yeah, amazing. Still going. And they got him against a two-time champion this week.
We know how those other guys are. Look, we know how strong they are. Eli Tomac, Jet Lawrence, Chase Sexton, blah, 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 all those dudes. But I like the Jorge Prado one, Justin Barcia. We saw Justin almost relapse a few weekends ago. Look, anytime you get somebody opens up that door, the dude's going to go for the front end. And the last few weekends, he's gotten 7th. So he's been getting better and better. And previous years, you would think that 7th place, you'd be like, oh, man, that's so. But with this field, Justin's been riding good, and he's been getting better and better. I think Justin's been probably riding the best he has in his whole career. It's just the field's really deep. He's looking forward to some changes in the future, so there's always that motivation. But, again, when I saw that dude almost relapse, I felt like Justin Barcia was back. So Jorge Prado, look, I know he ain't going out there particularly racing you. He's racing all those other guys. But if you leave that front end open, dude's going for it. And Justin Barcia is the only person in the field that can take somebody else out, and it's the guy's fault that he took out. Why'd you leave the front end open? You know that dude's crazy. You know he's going to relapse. So I'm going with Justin Barcia to relapse this weekend and get over Jorge Prado for the W in the head-to-head.
I love it, James. And the fact that it's somebody else's problem when he takes the front tire out is indicative. But, hey, Bam Bam's been around for a long time. Pretty awesome career. So let's see what he can pull off at Ironman.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's it. Make sure you go check out the Inside Line. And back to you, Jason.
Okay, a couple different classes to watch this weekend at Ironman beyond those 250s and 450s. SMX Next Motocross returns this weekend at Ironman, but we're not sure who's going to race it. We'll talk more about the Loretta Lynn's National in a moment, but Enzo Temmerman was the outstanding grad. He won the Nikki Hayden AMA Horizon Award, and still Team Green, Brian Holiday, the team manager, is telling me TBD if he's going to race SMX Next or Pro, which he did at a couple races already this year. He got Landon Gordon, Landon Gibson, who were going fast at Loretta's and in these races earlier. So we don't exactly know what to see after Loretta's.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where this lands for Enzo and how, the team around him, his parents, do they feel like, okay, we're ready. Let's take the next step and go all in with that. Or is, this SMX Next championship, these playoffs, is that loom large, right? And there's a lot of people that have to weigh in there. But I love this SMX Next. It's added a completely new angle to amateur racing and how they take that next step into the pro ranks. So we've seen kind of the trend from Landon Gordon seemed to be dominating the Supercross version of this, and then other guys have really stepped up in the pro motocross side and shown their prowess in the motocross discipline. So we're going to get one another crack at that here at Ironman.
Now, let's get into what we saw at Loretta's. We already mentioned Temmerman. He won 5 out of the 6 Pro Sport motos, beating Gibson, beating Gordon. That's a big turnaround. Temmerman had a couple of rough years, so we'll see what we get from him in the future. I want to mention B. JT, I feel that the B class now is the premier class because, like I said, Fedortsov didn't race. Caden Manier, he's hurt. You never know what you're going to get in pro sport. B, pretty much everyone races it. And this year's outstanding rider is named Deacon Deno. He's been linked to maybe a Triumph deal coming soon. Watch this space. I don't know. Maybe that's the next guy.
Yeah, and I think, you made a great point. I'm not sure if it was on this show or others, but it feels like the emphasis for how important Loretta Lynn's has just gotten younger. And if you look at the SMX Next, it's done a great job of helping them transition, and we get so many more opportunities to see these guys growing within their skill set, getting ready to make that big jump. But for the B-class riders, the youth riders, 85s, now Loretta Lynn's is still that place, and it just seems like the layer of emphasis has gotten younger. So for a lot of these kids, Loretta Lynn's is the end-all be-all, and I think it's also kind of a coming out party for a lot of these kids. Really tough conditions, long motos, really hot. Fitness plays a big role. It's not that prototypical 4-lap bonanza that we see at some of these other races. You get to see what these kids are really made of.
At Loretta's, we saw something crazy. We mentioned Raycin Kyler. We talked to her on the top of the show, but she's not the only one. So actually, Yumena Burning, who's one grade group younger than Kyler, she's 9, I believe, on a 65. She finished on the podium before Kyler did. So she became the first female at Loretta's to ever score a podium in an open division. She ended up barely missing the title in her class. It came down to the last lap. So that's second place and a first for 2 girls. Hannah Jamison was running top 5 on 85s. And even Lala Turner, the WMX points leader, she dominated women's at Loretta's, but she was running 7th at one point in a 250B limited moto against the very fast group we just talked about. So I don't know what's going on here, JT, but that's 4 different women or girls mixing up with the fastest boys and guys.
Well, we talked about it at Thunder Valley. It really felt like we were entering a renaissance era for WMX. There's so much talent that is just kind of entering the scene. And I got the opportunity to go to Europe and watch Lotte van Drunen, who is dominating their WMX scene. And she was running top 15 for a couple of laps in the MX2 class over there. So whether you're talking about Charlie Cannon in Australia, you're talking about all of the Loretta Lynn's, the women's power that's coming out of there and these kids, or in the EU, it really feels like we had like a lost era there for a little bit, and we are back with a vengeance here in 2025.
And perfect timing, because WMX returned as a pro championship in America last year. Now all the races running alongside Pro Motocross, including this weekend at Ironman. It resumes. First moto will take place Friday. Second moto you can watch live on our show on Peacock or the SMX Video Pass. It'll take place in between the first and second motos, or halftime as we call it, between the 250 and 450 class. So Turner's the point leader, but you mentioned Charlie Cannon. We have not seen the best of the Australian in those first 3 rounds. She was riding hurt. Everyone is anticipating 100% Turner, 100% Cannon, and a battle over the next 3 weekends.
Yeah, I think Charlie Cannon's going to come in here pretty hot. You could see the frustration in her in those opening rounds because riding injured is not a lot of fun. She's just nowhere near her peak level performance. Well, she's had time to heal. She's had time to go race the Australian Championship and get back to 100%. So it's going to be a showdown. You know, that doesn't mean that riders like KK Nielsen and others can't be in the fight. But I think it's all eyes on those 2, Lala Turner and Charlie Cannon, to see who comes out on top.
SMX Medical update. We bring in the good doctor, Dr. Joe McGinley. We're going to talk about your privateer support program in a moment, but we'll see you in person at Ironman. We've been talking about SMX Next quite a bit on this particular show, and it's not just about the motos that the fans see. It's about getting the riders in and out of workshops to teach them things about professional life. I even have to host a 15-minute media session training with them for a bit. Mike Bonacci at Club MX talks about sponsors. You're going to come over and talk about the medical side.
That's correct. I'm excited to be at Ironman this weekend. It's always a great race and great racing. Fans are always great to interact with. But yes, I'll be speaking with the up-and-coming superstars of racing. I've done this a few times. It's great to get in there and speak with them and just let them know not only how to prevent injuries, but what happens when you do get injured and how you take care of that. I point out to them that their body's more important than their bikes, really. You can always get a new bike or a new part, but on your body, that's a lot harder to do. So we'll spend quite a bit of time on injury prevention. How do you manage heat? How do you manage hydration, nutrition? We get into the mental aspects of the sport. I obviously touch on arm pump. That's what we specialize in. We're hoping to have a special guest this weekend, Avery Long, who was just sitting in those seats just a few years ago, had his first full pro season this year. His dad just reached out. No arm pump. We got him treated. He's done his first full year, outdoor national, Southwick, everything. No arm pump. So we're going to try to get him in there and just give his experience of how he transitioned from where they're sitting to where he's at now. So I'm really looking forward to that. Those are always fun. I love interacting with the up-and-coming riders and their families.
Well, you've done such a great job and a great thing for privateers. You know, you come in and sponsor this team that has really given an outlet and a way for privateers to make it to the races. So can you give us a little bit of an update? It's your first year kind of as a part of that in a big way. And, we're getting closer into this championship. So I just want to hear how that's gone from your perspective.
Oh man, it's been a blast. It's been such a great opportunity for us to get involved with the privateers. We've always been looking and asking how we can help the grassroots of the sport, because really that's the lifeblood of the sport. That's where all the riders come from. That's where all the fans are. A lot of the fans there on the weekends, they're racing their local tracks. So to be able to support that passion and enthusiasm has been incredible. Our team is just continuing to grow. For the nationals, at one point we had 12 riders under the tent of the team. It was incredible. At Washougal, we had riders like on both sides of the truck. It was really great to see. And then the multinational nature of it. We have 5 different countries have been represented on the team. One of our riders, Gerhard, he's going to be racing for Team Honduras at Motocross of Nations. It's great to see that. He's going to be in the MX2 class. So yeah, it just continues to grow. The excitement continues to grow with the team. And we love cheering the riders on. It makes the entire day fun, from time practice to last chance qualifiers to the main races. We're out there watching every bit of it, and it just helps with our engagement in the sport as well.
Awesome. Yeah, every little piece that helps make that thing run, and fans will get to see up close and personal what it takes to make that happen. So thanks for all the contributions. I'll see you in the workshops on Friday.
Yeah, I'll be around all weekend at Ironman. If anyone catches me and you have a question, just let me know. We have a medical symposium at the end of the day on Friday at 5:15. They have a whole VIP experience. I'll hang out, ask whatever questions you want regarding medicine. If you have a racing question, I'll answer them. They might not be correct, but I'll answer them anyway.
Thanks, Dr. Joe.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, we mentioned 3 rounds of Pro Motocross remain. Thanks to Dr. Joe for the update on his squad. Also, SMX playoffs coming up. Let's give you the schedule and where you have to go to watch these races. Starts September 6th at ZMAX Dragway. That's part of the Charlotte Motor Speedway complex. That's not far from where I live. Because I had a weekend off, I actually attended a kid's birthday party, and everybody wants to go to this race because it's the only race in the Charlotte area all year. So that alone should sell it. Then St. Louis on the map for September 13th. Had a race there last year in Supercross, but it looked different this year. More on that in a moment. And then, of course, the World Championship in Las Vegas, JT. I think the Vegas thing, we really got to pump that up. We have such great memories of championships being decided in Vegas, but it's almost a generation ago. I think this thing's going to start catching on with each passing year.
Yeah, people, they just want to go to Las Vegas and watch SMX World Championship finale. Like, it's just that simple. It doesn't have to be complicated. And we were deprived of a Las Vegas race for a very long time. So that's going to be a home run, just as it was last year. But when I think you take a look at all 3 of these racetracks, they are all different. And that's on purpose. You know, Charlotte, this Concord race, I think we have an idea. You know, we're going to be on a 3rd rendition of this thing. So I think the riders, you remember how surprised they were in 2023 at what this was. Well, I think those surprises are now a thing of the past. They're going to know what the track will be like, what the dirt will be like. To me, the St. Louis racetrack is the most interesting because when I look at it, it feels like Monster Energy Supercross. It, you know, the one sand straightaway that kind of goes out of the concourse there. Other than that, it's not a whole lot different than what these riders would face in Supercross. So they're going to have to get that skill set. I think they're going to run very similar to what their typical Supercross settings would be, minus a big set of loops. And then you go to the finale in Las Vegas at the Speedway. It's going to be fast, period, right? So you're going to have to set your bike up for the speed. It's going to be a little bit rougher. You know, there are some unique aspects to it. It's a little bit darker because it's so spread out there at the Speedway. So it is its own unique thing. And one of the coolest things about all 3 rounds are, I think all of them present their own challenges and completely different types of dirt and completely different types of layouts. So if you're good at one, that doesn't mean you're going to be good at the next week or in the finale in Las Vegas.
Yeah, we've definitely seen that before. Week to week, guys think they've got it nailed, and then they do not. So those are the tracks. And this is the best news of all. I got the best news of all coming your way right here, and that is a discount. And I've never been prouder on a show to be able to talk about a coupon, which is going to be $10 off tickets, up to 8 tickets you can purchase. You can save $80. And I got a coupon code here that I'm going to give you, and these are tickets for those 3 playoff rounds, JT. So this is cool. We're trying to get people on board. Remember, there's Friday stuff at the Charlotte and Vegas races. We'll do a show for the fans. They'll be qualifying, a live press conference you can attend. We mentioned SMX Next will compete at the first 2 rounds, so you'll see the amateurs. It's a little bit different feel, even though St. Louis might look like a Supercross. It's going to be different than a Supercross. That's what's cool about them, right?
Well, there's never been a more on-brand topic in the history of this show than Jason Weigandt introducing a discount for anything. So I'm here for it. We have now just made history. Congratulations, Weege. You just hit a home run, your favorite subject.
Here's what you got to do to get $10 off. When you go to supermotocross.com to buy your tickets, use the code SMX5, the number 5 TV. I'm trying to read it directly so I do not mess this up. I want you to save your money. SMX5 TV. It's valid now through the Pro Motocross finale. That's the 24th of August at 11:59 p.m., basically midnight. So the next 3 weeks, get your SMX tickets now. Save $10 on up to 8 tickets. SMX5 TV. Do it. Save money. Okay, it's SMX Facts time. We bring in the statistician, Clinton Fowler. We've been teasing these SMX seeding scenarios for the 450 class for a while. The main thing I wanted to watch was, could Chase Sexton hold off Jet Lawrence in rankings? At Washougal, it got even more intriguing because actually Sexton picked up a point there. So where's it sitting with some of these 450 scenarios with 6 motos remaining?
Yeah, well, Justin Cooper's clearly got the lead in the 450 points, but the interesting battle, the really interesting one, as you said, is Chase Sexton versus Jet Lawrence. Sexton has a 32-point lead in the SMX standings, and if we go on that, just that last race, it looks pretty good for Sexton, but if we go based off of the entire season, it looks a lot better for Jet Lawrence. I've got them projected to finish within 4 points of each other. It's going to be interesting to watch. That's going to be a close battle to pay attention to. The other one, Malcolm Stewart, currently has 62 points in between him and Hunter Lawrence and Eli Tomac. But Hunter Lawrence and Eli Tomac are scoring nearly 20 points more around. So that looks like it could shape up to be a battle. That's for 6th, 7th, and 8th right now. And then maybe the most interesting one here, just because there's so much at stake for these guys, is the battle for the 20th spot. You currently got Valentin Guillon sitting in 20th. I think he's going to actually make it all the way to 16th if he continues getting the 8th place overall finishes that he's gotten being impressive the last 2 rounds. But then you've got Mitchell Harrison, Cody Schock, Harry Koulas, and Benoit Petrel that are all battling for that final spot, JT. And man, you know, these guys are hungry to get into the top 20. They do not want to be in the LCQ in the finals.
Yeah, I think that list of riders, there's just no way at Anaheim 1 you could have considered the battle for 20th between those guys. And I think it's a testament to, Guillaume and Patrella have done fantastically well. Guillaume has, I think, taken that limelight as Patrella struggled as of late. But that's what these SMX playoffs bring, is just the unconventional, unlikely points battles that these riders have probably never been mentioned in the same conversation before, but here we are.
Okay, 250 class. What stands out there for SMX?
Yeah, I mean, the interesting part, Hayden Deegan could clinch the SMX #1 seed this weekend at Ironman Raceway. He just needs to stay within 3 points of his top competitor in the Pro Motocross Championship, Joe Shimoda. So interesting for Hayden Deegan this weekend. And then similar, JT, to the 450s, we've got a battle amongst 5 guys for the 20th spot. We got Jalik Swoll, Lux Turner, Cullen Park, Max Anstey returning supposedly, and Avery Long, all likely to be battling for that final spot.
Yeah, and you just wonder how clued in are these guys to that scenario. I would think, it's become such a thing that they're following this thing closely. So this is going to be a moto in, moto out battle all the way to that last lap of Budds Creek for who makes that top 20 and who's thinking about LCQs when we show up in Concord.
And then, as always, we get an update for you on milestones. So we talk about Eli Tomac often going through the ranks. The watch as Jet Lawrence is shockingly high on the all-time 450 motocross win list already. What are some things to watch for over the next couple of races?
Yeah, Weege, three things stick out for me. Amazing, JT. Eli Tomac is 3rd all-time right now in Premier Class Pro Motocross points. He's 38 shy. A 3rd and a 4th place moto finish would get him to Ricky Carmichael in 2nd all-time. That's impressive. Weege, to your point, Jet Lawrence is 1 moto shy of 8th all-time in tying our fellow broadcaster, James Stewart. And then Hayden Deegan is 1 moto shy of Blake Baggett for 10th all time. So JT, just some impressive milestones that we may see at Ironman.
Yeah, and I really like that Ricky Carmichael comparison, because you're talking about two, I would say, Mount Rushmore of this sport guys that Eli Tomac might eclipse him. Now, we have to mention that Ricky's career was a bit shorter than Tomac's. Like, he's going pretty deep here, where Ricky stepped away at the age of 27. But no matter what, in any metric, if you have more points than Ricky Carmichael accumulated at anything, you have done pretty darn well. So kudos to Tomac for about to set yet another milestone in his legendary career.
Okay, that's it for a jam-packed episode heading to Ironman. Here's how you can watch and when you can watch. Back to the normal stuff. If you don't remember, that is 10 o'clock Eastern, 1 hour of race day live qualifying coverage. Motos start at 1 o'clock. Halftime, we'll have the second and final moto of WMX, the Women's Championship. They'll race their first moto on Friday. We got them on Peacock live at Thunder Valley. They put on the best race of the day. Maybe that'll happen again at Ironman. And the second motos will also air on USA at 12:30 Eastern on Sunday. So if you're not a Peacock subscriber or not with the SMX Video Pass, you can watch it that way. But why wouldn't you? We're going to give you 5 straight hours of coverage of 5 different motos. Let's not forget, JT, that the last moto we saw, 450 Moto 2 at Washougal, was probably the best of the year. Hunter and Jet, Eli, Chase. I talked to Chase. He stopped by Loretta Lynn's. I said, that furious couple of laps, was that over the limit? Was that more than you could sustain for a whole moto? And he said, no, man, I felt good. I think that was a normal pace for Jet. I think we're going to do that more. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think the question is there, was that a Washougal specific thing where Jet doesn't like that racetrack and Chase Sexton does? That's what we're going to find out down the final 3 Pro Motocross rounds and into the playoffs. Was it a one-off, or has Chase Sexton turned the corner and is ready to get in the fight?
All right, we'll find out this Saturday. See everybody at Ironman, or be sure to tune us in on Peacock. Again, 10 a.m. and 1 o'clock for qualifying in the races. See you then.